Oh man, Bitcoin tumbles here to the downside as money flows out of markets as in the Middle East. Escalation and violence continue. This is not a political video, this is a Bitcoin video, but these things do have an influence on the markets, and in this video we're going to break down what is going on. Now, to do with what is actually going on over there, I implore all of you guys to go and seek the truth. I'm not going to say anything more about the matter, but do not just take at face value what you see on the news on any topic nowadays. You guys know better. Go and seek the truth. Go and do your research. Spend hours looking into these things to find out what's actually going on behind the narrative that's always being shared on everything political or pandemic related or anything else. You guys have to take the responsibility to put in the work. Just like we do here on Bitcoin, you guys have to do that in every aspect. Do not just take what a moon boy says, Bitcoin's going to 100k. We're smarter than that, and we're smarter than that in other aspects of our life too. So here on Bitcoin, we were trying to close the week here somewhat green. Looks like we may end up closing this candlestick here slightly in the red, Bitcoin falling 0.5% here. But more importantly, we need to understand that the escalation of what is going on here in the Middle East could start to put risk in a risk-off mentality. Now, we already know that this whole last few months has been characterized by risk rotating off, right? More money flowing into the dollar. This now sends another shockwave through that if we have another conflict on our hands on the global geopolitical map, of course, you've already got Russia-Ukraine, this could create more risk rotating off and another leg up for the dollar index, which, remember, is trying to consolidate here at the purple line, which we spoke about, which is this pivot point here, before trying to work its way one to here, which is 107.8, but really all the way to this peak, right? It really wants to get back into this 113 range, which could be really, really painful for Bitcoin. Now, if dollar index does indeed go on this leg, that's where I start to prepare for a 20 to kind of 22k level on Bitcoin, which is quite a low level, and that's where I'll be prepared to get my latest DCAs in. But for now, the question is going to be, can you get a rejection on the dollar index? Can you send it back down here? And the question now, particularly with what's going on, is that it's looking unlikely, right? There's a lot going on geopolitically that could send this further higher, because remember, markets do not like uncertainty. Investors do not like uncertainty, and that is why here, over the weekend, we are seeing a lot of red in the market, right? A lot of altcoins falling to the downside here, bleeding to the downside are altcoins as Bitcoin starts to sell off a little bit due to the uncertainty. So you guys need to be aware of what's going on. Make sure you're following in the charts. Make sure you're in our Telegram group, ijaz.uk/TG, because that's not only where I provide trade alerts, I give you guys trade insights and alerts, but also you will get up-to-date TA and news stories as well. So make sure you're in there, ijaz.uk/TG. You can see Fear and Greed Index sits at 50, pretty comfortable, right? Now we got to take a look at what else do we have coming up this week. Tomorrow, which is Monday, you've got an IMF meeting, okay? So that's going to be an important meeting. We'll listen to see what comes out of that IMF meeting that continues into Tuesday and Wednesday as well. Also on Wednesday, you get the PPI figure. Remember, we just have covered off at length what happened with the jobs figure. Now we look towards inflation figures. We know what's going on in the job market. The other thing the Fed looks at after jobs is inflation. So the PPI, which is the producer price index, we will get those on Wednesday. Later that day, we then get the FOMC meeting minutes, which I remember are the minutes from the previous meeting. Sometimes these are a nothing burger. Sometimes these provide us a clue of how many members dissented, right? How many members didn't agree with the pause we had and how many actually want to do another rate hike. So we will be listening in on that as well. IMF meeting continues through into Thursday as well, which is when we also get our much anticipated CPI reading. Critical week coming up. Loads going on, guys, and you guys need to stay tuned because this could have a big effect on not only our trades but also our long-term DCA bag as well. So make sure you guys understand that, one, the conflicts around the world can continue to have an impact on our investments. Two, the PPI readings, the CPI readings, and also the FOMC minutes, and not to mention, layer on top that, the 4-day IMF meeting as well. So loads to play for this week. Big week coming up. And if we look at where Bitcoin is sat here in the great scheme of things, it's trying its best here to hold above the EMA ribbon, right? We did wick down into it intra-week, but we're managing for now to hold above it, which is quite positive. So the question really is, can we consolidate, right? Can we finish this week above that EMA ribbon? Great. I mean, we've got 12 hours now before the candlestick closes here. And, you know, bar a disaster, I don't see us falling here back into the EMA ribbon. So this is good. This is an okay week. I know it's red, but it's good. After last week where we moved 6.6%, the fact that we're flat on this week is pretty good. It's a consolidation. The bears haven't been able to throw us back down, and this is good. But we've got to open this up next week with another green candle to carry on our leg to the upside. I continue to remind you guys that on the daily chart, the big focus right now is this next leg up to the upside has to get us past 32. It has to go past these big rejection points here. If we cannot do that, then we risk here moving to the downside as well. So very important that we can continue this upward channel. This is a nice upward channel here. We continue to create a higher high and continue working our way up. If not, and we get rejected, then we could be heading back down here to test the necklines at around that 25 to 24.8 neckline, which is not what we want to do. Remember, there is a big risk here of a head and shoulders pattern. Let me just show you guys what we're working on here. You can see this, right? They can really easily curl over into a left shoulder here. That would be your head. This will be your right shoulder, and you tumble to the downside. So we need to be very, very cognizant of that pattern playing out. So it's very important that when we move and create a higher high. So a lot of work for Bitcoin to do. It's not acceptable for it to just go here to 30 and then curl back down. So it needs to go past 32. So there's a lot of pressure on this bullish move here on Bitcoin. If we also bring out the daily EMA ribbon, you will notice what's really, really important is this. We are getting the flippening, and I don't want anybody to minimize this right now. Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on geopolitically from an economic point of view in terms of what the Fed are doing as well, but also this EMA ribbon is flipping bullish, and this is a good sign. Normally sets you up for a nice big extended move to the upside. So where I'm sat right now is, yes, there is potential that with the volatility coming in the market, with the data still to come out later this week as well, and obviously with the geopolitical concerns as well, there is a chance that we could see Bitcoin kind of cooling off here over the short term. And if we do to any significant level, I'll be looking to add to my bags. You guys know I always keep like 10 to 12% cash on the sidelines ready to buy a dip, but the rest of my long-term funds are in the market, locked and loaded, ready to go. So if we do have a big move up towards that 32 level, I'm happy. If we don't and we want to pull back a bit lower, great stuff. Around 24, 23, 22, I want to start my nibbling and getting in some more positions for my long-term holdings. We are getting closer, of course, to the Bitcoin halving next year. Things are starting to look a little bit better on the macroeconomic front. We saw the labor market figures behind the scenes, not the headline figure, the wages and also the unemployment rate start to move in the direction that the Fed wants it to move. So that's a good sign. Can the CPI back it up next week? Guys, if you want to trade with us and you actually want to take your trading seriously, you want to see how I do my TA, how I do my setups and the exact stop losses, take profits, and how I get into my trades, head into our Telegram group, ijaz.uk/TG. You will find access to the VIP group in there, where I share exactly how I take my trades, which altcoins I'm looking at, and you guys can join me in there. Thanks for watching, guys, even on the Sunday. Appreciate your viewership, and I'll see you in the next one.